everyone, this is Marika and welcome back to another session with me. So we have dealt with various topics under 6th unit, that is lecture method, demonstration method, seminar, symposium, field trip, group discussion and panel discussion. Today we are going to deal with another method of teaching, that is project method. You all get an image or you all get an idea of what I am going to deal in today's unit. Today we are going to discuss about what is a project method, what are the different purposes of project method, the characteristics of project method, what is the role of the teacher in the project method, and various merits and demerits of the project method. Now, the project method has been recognized as a technique or as a method of teaching since many years. Okay, it has been used in the education system from many years. Now, project and project method have been used in almost every type of teaching. Okay, whether it is new or old type of teaching, even when the teaching methods are reformed and different methods are adapted for teaching, project has been a part of teaching method. Now we are dealing with project method, right? So what does the term project actually is? The term project is used in the education system or for education in order to refer to the activities carried out by the learners. So we use the term project for educational activities that are carried out by the learner to learn something. This method is a teaching method which requires either the individual or the learner to work on his own or in a group to achieve pre-planned educational objectives. So we all know that project can be individual project or it can be a group project, right? So the activities that are carried out by the learners could be given for an individual learner, for every different individual learner to carry out their own activities, or it can be even given as a group task. Okay, now these projects are actually carried out in order to make sure that the educational objectives which are pre-planned and pre-formulated are met. The project method requires the learner to develop and to have true creative thinking. Okay, so to carry out any project, the student who is carrying out the activity must have or must use creative thinking and also true mental activity. So a good project requires the individual learner or the learners in a group to use their true mental capacity and activities, and also it requires true creative thinking. Okay, so till now we have seen a project is a method which is used in teaching in order to make sure that the students develop their creative thinking skills as well as develop their true mental ability, right? The project is carried out in order to make sure that the pre-planned educational objectives are met, and also that the project method have been used especially in education system for a long period now. Let us now see what is the definition of project method. A project is a wholehearted and purposeful activity that is carried out in a social environment. Okay, so this definition is given by William Scape. He says that a project is a wholehearted and a purposeful activity which is carried out in a social environment. That means, as we discussed, a project requires the students to use their mental abilities and creative thinking, right? So the project should be accepted by the students wholeheartedly and it is a purposeful activity. Now it is a purposeful activity. How is it a purposeful activity? It is a purposeful activity because it is carried out in order to meet certain goals or certain predetermined objectives. Let us now see what are the characteristics of a project method or a project. So the first one is project method teaches the child, the student, or we can also call them as learner, right? So the project method teaches the student or a learner to get the best out of life. Okay, a project is a way of teaching the students to get the best out of their life. It is a means of teaching them. Second one, a project method is an attempt to use an experience to make the lesson unforgettable for the learners. This means the students, if they carry out a project or if they are assigned a project, the students get involved, right? As we have seen in the definition, it is a purposeful and a wholehearted activity. So the students will get involved, they'll experience what it is to carry out a certain project, how it is done. So through that experience, the students learn better, obviously, and it will help them to retain what they have learned for a longer period of time as well. To make a lesson unforgettable, a project can be assigned for the students. Next characteristics is it gives the student freedom of expressing oneself or self-expression. Okay, this means the students will be able to express themselves. As we have said and discussed that project requires the students to develop creative thinking and also their mental ability, right? So through creativity, the students will be expressing themselves. Okay, so it gives an opportunity for relating oneself with the community. Through assignment of certain projects, the students can relate themselves with the community as well. Now, a project can be a large unit of appreciational learning or of attitude development, which will help to increase and develop the motor skills of the learners. All right. So a project can be a unit that a student must learn, or it can also be certain activities, or it can also be of attitude development. So doing project will help the students to develop their motor skills as well as their technical knowledge. The next characteristic says that a project is a play activity and children actually engage in carrying out those activities. Okay, so project is an interesting method of teaching. Next one, a project must aim at an attainable goal. So as we have been discussing, a project will have educational objectives to be met. For every project that the students carry out, there must be an aim and there must be a goal that is attainable. Next one, it must be natural and purposeful. So a project must be natural and it must be purposeful. Of course, it must be purposeful. The students must be able to learn from the project. Next characteristics is the project must be directed and planned by the students. So project is a student-centered method. All right. So here what happens, the students actually get involved in carrying out the project, from planning to organizing materials to actually making a project successful. So here the direction, the supervision and planning, everything is carried out by the students. And the next one is practical in nature. Okay, so the projects are practical in nature. Now that we know what is a project and what are the different characteristics of project, let us see what is essential for carrying out a good project. All right. The first one is the project should stress on present and future values. Okay, so whenever a project is assigned to the student, whenever a topic is selected for assigning it to the student as a project, it must hold value in the present as well as in the future. Okay, the student must be able to learn something that will be helpful for them now and also for their future. Next one is project should be timely. Okay, so a project that is given or assigned to the student must be assigned for a particular period of time. Time must be given to the students for the completion of project, but the project must have a particular date of submission. Okay, so it must be timely. Next one, the project should be challenging. The project, whenever it is assigned to the students, it must not be something that is very easy to carry out. It must be challenging. Why it must be challenging? Because as we have seen, the project method requires the student to develop creative thinking, to use their mental ability. So to make sure that the students develop creative thinking, use their mental capacity to the maximum, the project must be challenging. And the last one is the project must be feasible. Okay, so feasible is something that can be actually done, right? Something that is in the ability of the people to do, right? So we should give project which is challenging, right? Because it requires the student to develop creative thinking, but it must be feasible so that the students will be able to actually carry out the project. Let us now see what are the different types of project. Okay, so the projects are classified into different segments according to the different kind of activities that are to be carried out by the learners. So there are 4 different types of projects. The first one is the projector type. The second one is the consumer type. The third one is problem type, and the last one is drill type. Okay, we'll see in detail what are these different types of projects. So the first one is the projector type. Now, projector type of projects are those projects which requires the students to be involved in carrying out activities such as building something. The students will be involved in carrying out the projects which requires them to actually make something. For example, building a model of a textile factory or building a model of a science museum, right? So all this comes under projector type. It requires the student to build something. They are involved in the activities which requires them to make something, maybe a model of something. Next one is consumer type. Now, what is consumer type? Consumer type projects are those projects in which the students actually get the opportunity to experience a particular situation with their future expected consumers. Okay, so a consumer type of project is what? It is a type of project where the students actually get to experience situation with their future expected consumers. For example, a master level community health nursing student. Now the students may be given a project to deal with the primary health problems of the elderly in a selected community urban area. So what happens here? There is a student who is pursuing her master's, right? So this student gets a project where she has to identify the problems and give solution to the primary health problem of elderly people of a selected urban community. Now, this student will get to experience the real life situation with her future expected consumers. Alright, so the nursing student is providing service to the actual patient in the community center. So this will provide the opportunity for the student to learn about the situation, to learn about the problems that she might have to deal with later on, and to also find solution to the problems identified. So in such kind of situation, nursing students will get to experience a direct contact with their future expected consumers. This form of project method is also enjoyable by the students, right? The students actually go to the community area and they actually experience how it is to deal with an elderly patient. What are the different types of problems that an elderly could face, and how can I help the elderly to overcome those problems? So such kind of experience will help the student to enjoy as well as learn. Next one, we have problem type. So from the term itself, you can understand a problem type of a project method or a project is when the learners are supposed to find the solution of the given problem. Okay, so a problem type project method is when the learners are given a certain problem, they are said that this is the problem, and the learners are supposed to find the solution to that particular problem. Next one, we have drill type. Drill type of project method actually involves activity that aims at acquiring greater skills. For example, a nursing student can be given a project to acquire competency skills in certain nursing procedures such as mouth care, enema, nail care, hair care. So in drill type of project method, here the students will have to carry out activities to gain proper and thorough knowledge about the particular procedure or about the particular aspect of the topic. So there are 4 different types of project, that is projector type, consumer type, drill type and problem type. In the first one, projector type, the student have to build a project on the topic which they get. The next one is consumer type. In the consumer type, the students will have to go to the field, experience what it is to be working in the field, and they'll get to work with their future expected consumers. In the problem type, the student gets a particular problem and they work for finding the solution to the problem. And last one is drill type. In drill type, students are usually given project to acquire certain skills. Okay, it is used for higher learning, and students are usually given projects to acquire certain skills. For example, if we take nursing, the students are asked to acquire skills on particular procedures, so that the student is given a time, the student is given a topic, and the student learns and gains proper confidence on the topic. Next one, we have organizing a project. The first one is the teacher must provide guidance for selection of the topic. Okay, as I said, it is learner-centric. It should be planned and organized by the learners, but the teacher must provide guidance in order to select the topic for the project. The next one is all the participants must accept the project wholeheartedly for its success, right? So every individual who gets the project must accept that this is what they have to do and why they are carrying it out. What is the purpose of them doing this? And if they work accordingly, it can be a success. The next one is good and effective planning of the project must be done by the students beforehand. How can the students organize and also plan a proper project? The students can make the list of different steps to be followed. What is to be done first? What is to be done next after the first step is done? Alright, so they have to make a list of steps that they have to actually do. Now, for example, all the materials that are required, the pictures that are to be used in the project, right? What you are going to display, the concept of your project, all of it must be listed out. Okay, it becomes easier for the students to plan a project in this way. Next one, the students must get sufficient preparation time. So sufficient time for the preparation of the project must be given to the students. Now, during the execution of the project, the teacher must carefully supervise the students. Even though it is carried out, planned and organized by the students, the teacher must provide guidance that is required for the students. And lastly, the evaluation of the method must be done not just by the teacher but by the students themselves as well. So they have to analyze themselves what and how the project went and what they can do for the improvement of the project. Now let us see what is the role of the teacher. The role of the teacher here, as we have discussed, is providing guidance. So the teacher will guide for the selection of the project. The teacher will also be available to help the students whenever it is required. And one thing to remember during a project method, when projects are being carried out in an educational institution, the formal relation between the student and the teacher does not remain formal. The teacher must be able to make sure that she adjusts her attitude and behavior towards student in a friendly manner. It can also be a little bit informal, so that she can help the student and the student also express and open up in front of the teacher. So the teacher here has to maintain a closer and a friendly relationship with the students than in ordinary classroom setting. The next one is the teacher must be a keen observer. And lastly, the teacher must be the storehouse of the information and the knowledge. The teacher must have proper knowledge and proper information about the projects being carried out. All right, the teacher must have a complete idea and complete knowledge about each and every project that is displayed by the students. Let us now see what are the advantages of project method. The first advantage is that it gives freedom to the pupil or to the students, right? The students are able to express themselves. It gives freedom for them to express oneself. The next benefit is that project will help the students to be trained for social adjustments. It will help the students to learn social adjustment. The next one is learning through practical problem solving. Here, because the students are actually involved in carrying out the project, they actually experience the entire process. It helps them to develop problem solving skills, not just by thinking or by visualizing something, but by actually experiencing the practical situation. The next one is the students take more interest to learn the particular topic, right? If a project is assigned to the student, if the student have to actually get involved in that, it will help to elicit the interest of the students. And the last one is the students will be able to learn in short period of time. Handicrafts and geography. Now, these are the various merits of project method. Let us now see what are the demerits of project method. The first one, of course, is time consuming. For the students to actually carry out a project and to build a project, it takes a long period of time, right? So it is time consuming, and sometimes the resources and the materials may also not be available. The next demerit is that it may be sometimes too ambitious, which means it can sometimes be beyond the ability of the students. The next one is in the project method, especially if it is a group project, all the students may not equally participate. And the last demerit is that time-bound projects, that projects which are time-bound, which are supposed to be completed within a short period of time, may only have superficial knowledge or superficial information. So these are the advantages and disadvantages of a project method. So to conclude, today we have discussed about what is the project method, what are the different characteristics of the project method, what are the different types of project method, what is the role of the teacher, what are the advantages and disadvantages of project method. I hope you all have understood the class, and I'll see you all in the next session where we will discuss about another method of teaching. Thank you and have a great day ahead.